the wildebeest summon their last reserves of strength. The Masai Mara National Park lies in the southwest of Kenya in East Africa and borders on the Serengeti in Tanzania. When the dry period begins in June in the southern Serengeti, innumerable herds of wildebeest join up to migrate over 800 kilometers to the Masai Mara, forever on the lookout for fresh pastures. During this migration, they have to cross several rivers. The greatest obstacle, and one that has to be crossed, is the Mara River. It flows from Kenya through the Masai Mara region and continues on across the border into Tanzania and the Serengeti. At first sight, it may not look particularly threatening, and it is indeed the main artery that keeps the Masai Mara alive. These heat-sensitive hippos rely completely on the river to secure their very existence in the savannah. Nowhere else does the vegetation offer such a wealth of food for the elephants. Depending on their size, these pachyderms also require from 70 to 250 litres of drinking water a day. And nowhere else can lions choose from such a well-stocked table, provided they're ready to wait a bit. The Mara River is the only river in this region that carries water all year round. Only here can the yellow-billed stork trawl the bottom of the river shallows for an endless supply of fish. Only here can the heavy-hoofed animals of the Masai Mara find drinking water in plenty. The banks are often crowded with wildlife for that very reason. That slip could have ended in tragedy. Because for many animals, the Mara River that meanders for nearly 400 kilometers through the savannah is the most hazardous river in the whole of Africa. Because of these fellows. Crocodiles spend the majority of their lives just lying around in their armored skins, doing nothing. As cold-blooded animals, they can only regulate their body temperature through their own activities. They have to enjoy extensive sunbathing sessions to enable them to carry out their sorties underwater. The webs between their toes on the rear feet help them to swim. Their tail, that makes up around half of their 6-meter length, is what drives them. But it can only work if the animal's operating temperature has been reached. If it falls below 30 degrees, the reptile will return to land to warm up. Half submerged, half above the waterline is a popular position. That way one can keep warm and look as harmless as a large piece of wood. But can mutate into an underwater torpedo in an instant. At the moment, though, there is little prey to go for, so a more leisurely pace is perfectly acceptable. Walking along the riverbed uses less energy than those powerful flicks of the tail. What looks like boredom-induced yawning is in fact temperature regulation. By opening its mouth, the reptile prevents its brain overheating. If it's still too hot, it moves into the water. A lunchtime doze underwater is only possible for a crocodile if the water is very warm. The geographical range of their existence is restricted to tropical and subtropical regions. They can't afford to waste too much energy. Most of the time throughout the year they just wait, ready to attack with their fearsome jaws containing more than 70 teeth. Crocodiles share their habitat with hippos. In the Masai Mara, there are especially large numbers of hippos. These socially orientated animals form small herds of up to 30 individuals. Underwater, these heavyweights even look elegant thanks to the buoyancy effect of the water. Rather than actually swimming, they tend to walk underwater. They spend most of the day in the water because their sensitive skin would crack in the intense summer heat. They can stay underwater for up to 5 minutes before they have to come up again for air. As a rule, one older bull will live together with a group of females and their young. The animals are generally related and maintain friendly contact with one another. As long as there is sufficient water in the river, there are no grounds for rivalry. Elephants also like to congregate around the Mara River. The smaller ones are best off keeping close to the adults. That way they're less likely to become a crocodile's next lunch. Elephants are among the most socially orientated animals in the world. This little elephant has not yet learned how to use its trunk to drink with. That muscular appendage is still in the way. It takes a while for baby elephants to learn what useful tools their trunks are. The older adults can use their muscular trunks as a most versatile multi-tool. During mealtimes, it fulfills both the grab and the cutlery functions. This little one can't start learning a moment too soon, even if it is kept fed by its mother's milk for many months. In greetings, the trunk acts as a handshake appendage, and the mutual smells tell the other party the identity of the caller. And if it's not quite long enough to scratch with, one can always use a termite hill. This mother cheetah and her 3 almost fully grown young and 2 younger males have made their way down to the river. The brothers share the remains of the gazelle they caught. But the female cheetah also has to get some fresh food in for the family. The youngsters follow her, hopefully. The brothers are so involved that they don't even notice the family. This one has been distracted. One youngster has discovered the hidden camera. But the mother has her sights on something else. What is that thing that neither runs away nor attacks? But what she has discovered does indeed run away. She begins the hunt. A hare can accelerate up to 70 kilometers an hour, but the cheetah is even faster. This big cat can even reach speeds of 100 kilometers an hour over short distances. Hares are famous for their zigzag running strategy, but the cheetah is nearly as smart. The big cat's strategy is to cause the prey to trip up with a carefully aimed hit of the paw. And yet, despite that particular failure, no other predator has such a high success rate as the cheetah. Half of its hunting sorties result in a catch. After hunting, the mother needs a long break to protect herself against overheating. The brothers also need time to recover. Full stomachs make one feel sleepy. Together with the first wildebeest, we see many zebras arriving in the Masai Mara. Zebras eat the longer, tougher grass, which opens up the way for the wildebeest to get to the shorter grass that's rich in nutrients. As compensation, the enormous herds of wildebeest provide protection for the zebras against attackers. It's normally the zebras that go down to the river first. And they have been waiting for this moment. Crocodiles know from experience where the animals will cross the river. Driven by thirst, the exhausted travelers make their way to the water. As long as the crocs are moving, they will be detected in good time. The lions have also taken up their positions and have already had a successful hunt. But it's not enough for the full pride. The lions know exactly which points on the river are the easiest for the zebras and wildebeest to cross. While some of the lionesses keep a watchful eye on the young, others are closely watching out for the arrivals by the river. The lionesses, mostly mothers and daughters, sisters, aunts and nieces, form the hunting party. Crocodiles may not be quite as social, but later they will need each other as well. More and more wildebeest gather on the opposite bank. They're facing the greatest challenge of their long journey. The steep banks alone that line the Mara in many places are hard to overcome. But the wildebeest have no choice. Down by the river, the life-saving herd becomes a liability. Hundreds of animals push their way forwards, leaving no opportunity for escape. The underwater hunters are on their way. There is simply no end to this sumptuous meal. The wildebeest are well aware of the dangers, but they have to get through. The river literally puts obstacles in their way, and those rocks are often deceptively slippery. Once the first animals have dared to enter the water, there's nowhere to go but forward. The crocodiles try to attack the open flanks. If they get too close to the thick of it, they're at risk themselves. Now the wildebeest have to run the gauntlet. They have managed to reach the safety of the bank. But some didn't make it. The wildebeest summon their last reserves of strength. Their ability to leap is their only chance. The safety of the individual lies in the sheer mass of the herd. But the crocodiles are not alone. Once one of them has grabbed a wildebeest, it attempts to drag it underwater. The other crocodiles will help. Each bite has the force of 2,000 kilos. Crocodiles are merciless opponents. And the animals that pass the first hurdle are faced with the next ambush. The lion attempts to immobilize the wildebeest by biting into its throat. Even if they survive the river, they can still be trampled underfoot. The youngest wildebeest, born only a few months before in the Serengeti, are experiencing this terrifying migration for the first time. They need to get back up to strength. But the trek must go on. Driven on by the stressful experience, the animals quickly take control of their new terrain. This large-scale partnership of convenience will now separate into smaller herds, until it's time to return to the Serengeti in 2 months' time